Okay guys, now we have double multiple choice question. Okay, English is very difficult. Biscuit. Okay, Punjabi style. So we've got double multiple choice in part 3. Now for part 3 IELTS listening, you should remember 3 M's. The first most important M that covers around 60 to 70% of part 3 is multiple choice questions. And usually they are single multiple choice questions where ABC and you select one. Right? Second M is matching. And the third M is double multiple choice questions. So here we've got that third M, double multiple choice questions. Questions 21 to 22. Choose 2 letters A to E. Now you will choose 2 letters, 2 questions. And by the way, out of 2, if one answer is correct, one incorrect, you will get 1 mark. Number 1. Number 2, you can write your answer in any order. For example, answer is A, B. So you can write 21A, 22B or 21B, 22A. It is correct. No problem at all, right? Which 2 points do Thomas and Jane make about Thomas' sporting activities? Now underline 2 points and about Thomas' sporting activities at school. Now listen, again, they are going to check your ability, whether you find the right information or not. There are 5 points. Out of those 5 points, they will discuss 3 points negatively or oppositely. Or it is also possible that they don't discuss 1 point. But 2 points will be discussed as they have been mentioned here. And those 2 points are your answers. Now, what are the points about sporting activities at school? Just switch on your imagination. What are the sporting activities at school? Cricket match, football match, or badminton, basketball, and other things like that. So, 2 points Thomas and Jane make about Thomas' sporting activities at school. Okay, option A. Should have felt more positive about them. Just underline felt more positive about them. Right? If she says you felt negatively, you should have felt more, you should be positive, or you should have been positive about them, then it is A. Training was too challenging for him. Now listen, if he says that training was quite easy for me, or I didn't find the training hard at all, will B be the answer? No, because it's the opposite. Right? And if he felt, for example, option A, should have felt more positive about him. If he already felt positive, then A will not be the answer. If he felt negative and she suggests you should have been more positive, then A can be the answer. C, could have worked harder at them. Could have worked harder. If he already worked harder, then this is not the answer. If he didn't work hard and now she is suggesting that you should have worked harder, then it is C. And by the way, in option A, what do they mean by them? Option A, last word them. What is them? Sporting activities. Again referencing. Sporting activities. Could have worked harder at them. Could have worked harder at sporting activities. His parents were disappointed in him. Now if he says my parents were proud of me, so this will not be the answer. And if he says my parents were disappointed, then it can be. So parents were disappointed. Underline parents were disappointed. Fellow students admired him. If he says my fellow students always felt jealous of me, will that be the answer? And if he says my fellow students always appreciated me, then this will be the answer. Got it? Now, there are 5 statements. 3 statements will be discussed negatively, oppositely, in a false manner. You have to separate those 3 statements from the 5 statements. Okay? So if you separate them, cross them, and what you're left with will be the right answer. And by the way, A, B, C, D, E, these options will be discussed in any order. They can start from E, then A, then C, then B, and then D. So it's any order.
You will hear 2 students called Jean and Thomas discussing their sports science course.
Hi Thomas, how are you enjoying the course so far?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Remind me, why did you decide to study sports science? Didn't you want to be a professional athlete when you were at school?
Yeah, that was my goal. and all my classmates assumed I would achieve it. They thought I was brilliant.
That must have been a nice feeling.
I thought I could win anything. There was no one who could run faster than me.
Exactly. So what happened? Did your mum and dad want you to be more academic?
Not at all. Perhaps they should have pushed me harder, though.
What do you mean?
I think I should have practiced more.
Yeah. Okay, A and C and D, correct. C is he could have worked harder at them, and that's what he said in the end. I'll play it again, don't worry. I'll make sure everyone gets the right thing. And the first correct answer is his fellow students admired him. Now, let's listen to it again.
You will hear two students called Jean and Thomas discussing their sports science course.
Hi, Thomas. How are you enjoying the course so far?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Remind me, why did you decide to study sports science? Didn't you want to be a professional athlete when you were at school?
Yeah, that was my goal, and all my classmates assumed I would achieve it.
And my all class students assumed I would achieve it. When they assumed I would achieve it means his fellow students admired him. So the first correct answer is E. Now let's go on.
Thought I was brilliant.
That must have been a nice feeling.
I thought I could win anything. There was no one who could run faster than me.
Now this is positive. He felt more positive. Already he was positive. When he said no one could run faster than me. So he was already positive about it.
Exactly. So what happened? Did your mum and dad want you to be more
That is option D. Did your mom and dad wanted you to more study and all that?
academic?
Not at all.
Not at all. So his parents were disappointed in him? Not at all. Got it? This is not the right answer. Now let's go on to option C.
Perhaps they should have pushed me harder, though.
What do you mean?
I think I should have practiced more.
I think I should have practiced more. Which option? Option C. He could have worked harder at them. I think I should have practiced more. Practiced more means work harder. Got it? Yeah, exactly. Okay, but audio really went fast. Okay, let's listen to it again.
You will hear two students
This
called
Baba is
Jean
okay.
and
This Baba is very old. You will listen to him in Cambridge IELTS books 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as well. So this Baba is very, very old. But after this Baba, there are those babies and the boys. Okay, they are very fast. See?
You will hear two students called Jean and Thomas discussing their sports science course.
Hi, Thomas. How are you enjoying the course so far?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Remind me, why did you decide to study sports science? Didn't you want to be a professional athlete when you were at school?
Yeah, that was my goal, and all my classmates assumed I would achieve it. They thought I was brilliant.
That must have been a nice feeling.
I thought I could win anything. There was no one who could run faster than me.
Exactly. So what happened? Did your mum and dad want you to be more academic?
Not at all. Perhaps they should have pushed me harder, though.
What do you mean?
I think I should have practiced more.
Okay, I think I should have practiced more. Now, questions 23 and 24. Choose two letters. Which two feelings, underline two feelings, did Thomas experience, underline Thomas experience when he was in Kenya? Now, he went to Kenya and there he came across two emotions. Those two emotions which he came across in Kenya will be your answer. Now, for example, A is disbelief. If he says before going to Kenya, I had this disbelief. Now that is, before going to Kenya. And if he says after coming back from Kenya, I felt relieved and all that. So you need to see actually when he was in Kenya. Right? Kenya is in Africa. I've got very good number of students in Kenya. So option A, disbelief. What is disbelief? See, if he says, I couldn't believe myself. I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe that it was really happening. Something like that. B, relief. I took a sigh of relief. It was quite relieving for me. I took some relief. Means, once you receive your desired band, say, okay, you are relaxed and relieved. C, stress. For stress, they can use the word anxiety or anything like that. Gratitude. Gratitude means thankfulness. Say thank God. Gratitude is thank God. Gratitude is when you get 40% marks and you are happy. And the other one is 80% mark and you are crying. Why not 95%? Next, homesickness. Homesickness means missing your home. Homesickness means missing your family. Right? The other day there was an intelligent student sitting here and we had a word like homesickness and the other one asked him इसका क्या मतलब होता है? कहता है जब आपको घर में उल्टियां लग जाएं तो उसको कहते हैं homesickness. Okay? So it's not that. Be careful. Homesickness means when you miss your family, inshallah, all of you will feel homesickness. बोलो आमीन. बाहर जाओगे तो homesickness होएगी, अच्छे रह के तो होएगी नहीं. ठीक है? So बोलो आमीन. सुमा आमीन. मैं चाहता हूँ मुझे homesickness हो. फिर मैं फोन करूं, फिर मैं मेरा किचन है, मैं आटा गुन रहे हैं. That's what they do. आज की पकाया खिचड़ी, something like that. Anyways, so let's see two feelings Thomas experienced when he was in Kenya. Right. If you're from Kenya, please comment.
What makes you say that?
Well, I went out to Kenya for a couple of weeks to train.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
I was chosen to go there out of loads of kids and run with some of the top teenage athletes in the world. And I was so calm about it. I just kept thinking how fortunate I was. What a great chance this was. Everyone back home was so proud of me. But once we started competing, I very quickly realised I wasn't good enough.
That must have been a huge shock.
I thought, this can't be happening. I was used to winning.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I'm over it now, and I think it's much better to do a university course. And this one has such a variety of sports-related areas. It's going to be good.
Oh, I agree. I chose it because of that.
A and D. All right. A and D. Okay. Someone said C. All right. The correct answer is A. Disbelief. And the second correct answer is D. That is gratitude. Please now listen.
What
again.
makes you say that?
Well, I went out to Kenya for a couple of weeks to train.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
I was chosen to go there out of loads of kids and run with some of the top teenage athletes in the world. And I was so calm about it. I just kept thinking how fortunate I was.
I was calm about it. I kept thinking how fortunate I was. How fortunate means gratitude. कि मैं कितना खुशकिस्मत हूँ. So that is what we call gratitude. Question number D, option D. Okay, how fortunate I was. Gratitude, how fortunate I was. Like you say, how fortunate I am. Okay.
What a great chance this was. Everyone back home was so proud of me.
Everyone back home was so proud of me. That is not homesickness. Right? Everyone back home was so proud of me. So this is not sickness.
But once we started competing, I very quickly realised I wasn't good enough.
I very quickly realized I wasn't good enough.
Competing, I very quickly realised I wasn't good enough.
That must have been a huge shock.
I thought, this can't be happening.
This can't be happening. Disbelief. You know, when you say, how high disbelief, this can't be happening. ये मेरे साथ नहीं हो सकता. Something like that. So this can't be happening is disbelief.
Used to winning.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It's okay. I'm over it now. And I think it's
I'm all right now. Now, all right, relief now. Because now he's not in Kenya. Yeah, but he didn't choose any direct word. Because he is relating to his disbelief mainly. I play it back.
You will hear two students called Jean and Thomas discussing their...
What makes you say that?
Yeah.
Well, I went out to Kenya for a couple of weeks to train.
Really? Oh, I didn't know that.
I was chosen to go there out of loads of kids and run with some of the top teenage athletes in the world. And I was so calm about it. I just kept thinking how fortunate I was.
Okay.
What a great chance this was. Everyone back home was so proud of me. But once we started competing, I very quickly realised I wasn't good enough.
That must have been a huge shock.
I thought, this can't be happening.
This can't be happening. So it does not lead to stress because they didn't use the word anxiety or any other word like that. So this can't be happening is his disbelief.
I was used to winning.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that, okay? Alright, so correct answer is A for apple, D for doctor. Okay guys, IELTS listening part 3, matching. Once again, we have matching, right? So, this time you can see options are long and lengthy and all that. Now, tell me one thing. Let's read the question first. Questions 25 to 30. What comment do the students make about the development of each of the following items of sporting equipment? So, please underline what comment students make development of each of the following item of sporting equipment. For example, how cricket bat was made, how racket was made, how table tennis racket was made. So they are going to talk about items of sporting equipment. What are the items of sporting equipment? Bat, ball, racket, baseball bat, and helmet. Exactly. So these are just, and they've given the names of them, right? Now 25 to 30, these are the items of sporting equipment. Found them? Okay, and A to H comments about the development of equipment. Now will you read the questions or comments? Obviously comments, because questions are 25 table tennis bat, 26 cricket helmet. You don't get anything, and they will speak about them directly in the audio one by one. Now please, let's get down to the main business. Option A, could cause excessive sweating. Underline excessive sweating. Very, very simple. Okay, any of these sporting equipment could cause excessive sweating. What is sweating? Pasina aana. For example, if they say helmet पहन के बहुत ज़्यादा पसीना आ जाता था, right? Cricket helmet पहन के बहुत ज़्यादा पसीना आ जाता, something like that. So it could cause excessive sweating. Sweat is the word. Like you say, hey, why are you sweating? Or I am sweating. Perspiration is not the right word. We use the word sweating commonly. Option B, material was being mass produced for another purpose. Material was being mass produced for another purpose, and then they started making sporting equipment with that material. For example, they talk about rubber or they talk about wood. They were producing it for another purpose, and then they realized they could make bats with that wood. Option C, people often needed to make their own. Now one sporting item people had to make on their own, कि अपना खुद बनाना पड़ता था. Anything, table tennis bat, cricket helmet, cycle helmet, golf club, hockey stick, football. कि अपने घर से hockey stick बना के लाओ. Something like that. People had to make on their own. Option D, often had to be replaced. Replaced means it could break after 1 or 2 games, or people had to change it after every game, or in a new game they had to bring one new or anything like that. So it often had to be replaced. And by the way, what do they mean by it? It means items of sporting equipment. Okay. Next, material was expensive. Very simple. They will say it was very expensive, costly, it cost a lot of money, they had to spend a fortune, right? Anything like that. Option F, it was unpopular among spectators. Like spectators didn't like it. For example, they had a cricket bat and spectators didn't like that. So the people who watched, spectators, they didn't like it. Option G, caused injuries. They made something and it caused injuries. For example, they say it injured the hands of the cricketer. They made certain bats which caused injury to the hand of the cricketers. So it caused means item of sporting equipment. And finally, no one using it liked it at first. At first, people didn't like it, but later on, they just liked it. Now, what are the items? Table tennis bat. Right? Now let's see what do they say. Table tennis, we've got the racket, I think. But in the old times, they used to have bats, table tennis bats. So, let's see.
So, Gian, have you thought of any ideas for the discussion session next week on technology and sport?
We have to cover more than one sport, don't we?
Yeah.
You know, we always think technology is about the future, But we could gather some ideas about past developments in sport.
Look at early types of equipment, perhaps. I remember reading something about table tennis bats once, how they ended up being covered with pimpled rubber.
'Cause they were just wooden at first, I'd imagine.
Yeah. In about the 1920s, a factory was making rolls of the rubber in bulk for something like horse harnesses.
Really?
Yeah, and someone realised that it would make a perfect covering for the wooden bats.
B. Material was being mass produced for another purpose. What was other purpose? Horses something. And mass produced they were making in large quantities. And what was the material? Rubber. So the correct answer for 25 is B. Very good. Let's go on. Question number 26, cricket helmet. You can repeat it, okay? I'll share the audio. 26, cricket helmet.
So, what about cricket? That's had a few innovative changes. Maybe the pads they wear on their legs?
I don't think they've changed much, but I'm just looking on the internet. And it says that when the first cricket helmet came in 1978, the Australian batsman who first wore it was booed and jeered by people watching because it was so ugly.
Wow! Players have to protect themselves from getting hurt.
Okay.
I mean, everyone wears one
Jeered
now.
by people who were watching. It was unpopular among spectators. For unpopular, they use the word jeered, and spectators, people who were watching. So F is the right answer for 26. I play this again. I can see question mark. I told you in section part 3 there'll be pin drop silence. Shanti. Okay? Yeah, not the Shanti who's the neighbor. Yeah.
So, what about cricket? That's had a few innovative changes. Maybe the pads they wear on their legs?
I don't think they've changed much, but I'm just looking on the internet. And it says that when the first cricket helmet came in 1978, the Australian batsman who first wore it was booed and jeered by people watching.
Okay, was booed and jeered by people. Booed is like boo, boo, like that. Okay, and jeered means mazak udana. By people who were watching. Listen again from this part.
In 1978, the Australian batsman who first wore it was booed and jeered by people watching because...
Okay, jeered by people watching. So that is option F. It was unpopular among spectators. Let's go on. Question number 27. Cycle helmet.
Unlike the cycle helmet.
Well, unless you're a professional. But you're right, many ordinary bikers don't wear a helmet.
Hey, look at these pictures of original helmet designs. This one looks like an upside-down bowl.
Yet the woman's laughing. She's so proud to be wearing it.
It says serious cyclists ended up with wet hair from all the hard exercise.
I guess that's why they have large air vents in them now, so that the skin can breathe more easily.
Okay, so we've...
Wet hair. A. It could cause excessive sweating. Now for excessive sweating, they use the word wet hair. Now you can argue पानी से भी तो बाल गीले किए जा सकते हैं, right? But then they use the word, now there are some holes in it for their skin to breathe and all that. So correct answer for 27 is A. Let's go on. Question number 28. Golf club.
What about golf balls? Or better still, golf clubs. They've changed a lot.
Yeah, I remember my great-grandfather telling me that because a club was made entirely of wood, it would easily break and players had to get another.
There's no wood at all in them now, is there?
No, they're much more powerful.
Okay, golf club made of wood and they would break. Option D, it often had to be replaced. Now, what is the wording that they used for replaced? They would often break. Exactly. When something breaks, you have to replace it.
What about golf balls? Or better still, golf clubs. They've changed a lot.
Yeah, I remember my great-grandfather telling me that because a club was made entirely of wood, it would easily break and players had to get another.
Players had to get another. What is that? It often had to be replaced. Had to be replaced, players had to get another. Question number 29. Hockey stick. Let's see what do they say about hockey stick.
The same must be true of hockey sticks.
I don't think so, because players still use wooden sticks today. What it does say here, though, is that when the game started, you had to produce a stick yourself.
I guess they just weren't being manufactured.
You had to produce the stick yourself. Option C, people often needed to make their own. Okay, you had to produce the stick yourself. That is C, people often needed to make their own. So C is the right answer. Is this clear? Yeah. Alright, I play this one again.
The same must be true of hockey sticks.
I don't think so, because players still use wooden sticks today. What it does say here, though, is that when the game started, you had to produce a stick yourself.
I guess they just weren't being manufactured.
Okay, you had to. For you, they use the word people. Right? Question number 30, football. Let's see, what do they say about football? And there are mostly more options than the questions, okay?
So, one more perhaps? What about football?
Well, I know the first balls were made of animal skin.
Yeah, they covered them with pieces of leather that were stitched together. But the balls let in water when it rained.
Oh, that would have made them much heavier.
That's right. You can imagine the damage to players' necks when the ball was headed.
Oh, how painful that must have been.
How
Yeah.
painful that must have been. Understand now? See, you just need to pick up some words from there. Their head and painful, so it caused injuries. Option G is the right answer. Alright. Okay guys, now we have section 3. And luckily in section 3 we don't have multiple choice, because we had multiple choice in section 2, so we don't have here. But sometimes if you are very lucky, you will find multiple choice in part 2, part 3, even part 4. This happened with one of my students, around 30 questions, multiple choice. So this may happen as well. Okay, questions 21 to 24, complete the table below. Write one word only for each answer. Now, no number, nothing else, one word only for each answer. Presentation on film adaptations of Shakespeare's play. Now, what is film adaptation of Shakespeare's play? Means out of plays of Shakespeare, they made movies. Right? There are different plays of Shakespeare, and out of those plays, they made movies. That is called film adaptation. Right? Like we've got this Harry Potter. Harry Potter is a film adaptation from J.K. Rowling's book. So it's just like that. Understand? Now, we have a table. Stages of presentation and work still to be done. One side, stages of presentation and work still to be done. There is only one question in work still to be done. And there are 3 questions about the stages of presentation. Introduces Janetti's book containing a dash of adaptations. Now, please underline the word containing. Dash of adaptations, something related to adaptation. So, introduce Janetti's book. Now, what are they going to do about the stage of their presentation? They are going to introduce a book. Now, this Janetti is the name of the writer or whatever. Book containing a dash of adaptations. Now, book contains something related to adaptations. Listen and answer.
You will hear 2 students, Katie and Joe, discussing a presentation in their film studies course.
Joe, you know I'm giving a presentation in our film studies class next week.
Yes.
Well, could we discuss it? I could do with getting someone else's opinion.
Of course, Katie. What are you going to talk about?
It's about film adaptations of Shakespeare's plays. I've got very interested in all the different approaches that film directors take.
Uh-huh.
So I thought I'd start with Janetti, who's a professor of film and literature. And in one of his books, he came up with a straightforward classification of film adaptations based on how faithful they are to the original plays and novels.
Right.
Absolutely. Well done. Classification of film adaptations. So classification is the right answer. All good, or do I need to play it? Shall I? Good, no problem. In actual exam, they will not play it again. Don't just say, "Bachi mari ji audio dobara chala diyo." Okay.
You will hear two students, Katie and Joe, discussing a presentation in their film studies course.
Joe, you know I'm giving a presentation in our film studies class next week.
Yes.
Well, could we discuss it? I could do with getting someone else's opinion.
Of course, Katie. What are you going to talk about?
It's about film adaptations of Shakespeare's plays. I've got very interested in all the different approaches that film directors take.
Uh-huh.
So I thought I'd start with Giannetti, who's a professor of film and literature. And in one of his books, he came up with a straightforward classification of film adaptations.
Okay, came up with straightforward classification of film adaptations containing a and came up with, right? Classification is the right answer. Question number 22. Ask class to suggest the dash adaptations. Now they will ask the participants. Class means participants. And to suggest, they will ask the participants to suggest the best adaptations. So they will say, okay, this is the best. So answer is going to be something like that. The dash adaptations means answer is going to be an adjective. The best or the whatever, right? Let's see.
I thought that next I'd ask the class to come up with the worst examples of Shakespeare adaptations that they've seen.
The worst examples of Shakespeare's adaptations that they have seen. So the answer is worst, not example. I will ask the class to give the example of the worst adaptations. Now, if you write the word the example adaptations, it doesn't fit there. So the answer is worst. How do you spell? S-T or S-E? Now see, again they check your grammar. With article the, we never use worse. It's bad, worse and worst. So the worst is possible, the worst is grammatically not possible, right? So the answer is worst. W-O-R-S-T. Listen to it again.
I thought that next I'd ask the class to come up with the worst examples of Shakespeare adaptations that they...
Okay, worst examples of Shakespeare's adaptations that they've seen. So worst is the answer. Okay, present Rachel Malco's ideas. Prepare some dash. Now for prepare, they can use any other word. Some shows us that answer is going to be plural. Prepare some handouts. Prepare some notes. Yeah? So maybe. Let's see, what is it that you have to prepare?
Next, I want to talk about Rachel Malco. I came across something on the internet about her work on film adaptations, and I was thinking of showing some film clips to illustrate her ideas.
Will you have enough time, though, both to prepare and during the presentation? After all, I doubt if you'll be able to find all the clips you want.
Perhaps you're right. Okay, well, I'd better do some slides instead, saying how various films relate to...
ये किसने बोला था? आपने बोला था. 200 रुपया fine, पक्का. Yeah, answer is slides, right? So first they were talking about film, clips. But he said, will you have that much time and this and that? So the answer is, control your mouth. In actual exam, एक भी word ऐसा बोला, मुँह से निकल गया, test cancel, पैसे ज़ाया, right? So यहाँ पे जो practice कर रहे हैं, वही वहाँ पे करेंगे. ठीक है? जो अपने पेरेंट्स के घर में किचन का काम करती है, वो अगले घर में जाके भी करती है. और जो नहीं करती, उसको भी करना पड़ता है. Okay? Yes. All right. Let's go on. Correct answer slides. Do I need to play it again? नहीं, मारा जा यहाँ से, सिर्फ यहाँ से. चल तेरी हाँ पैगी सानू, ऑडियो नहीं चल रही. नहीं होते कुछ लोग ऐसे.
Next, I want to talk about...
चलें, इसको मैं दरमियान से प्ले कर रहा हूँ. Just from here.
And during the presentation.
Yeah.
After all, I doubt if you'll be able to find all the clips you want.
Perhaps you're right. Okay, well, I'd better do some slides instead, saying how
Okay?
various...
I better do some slides instead. लड़की का क्या नाम है? लड़की का क्या नाम है? ਇਹ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਨੇ. ਤੁਸੀਂ उसको जाके वहाँ फॉरेन कंट्री चले तो जाएंगे, फिर आप कहेंगे आप अपना नाम बानो रख लें. यह मुझसे जो है ना केटी कहा नहीं जाता, ठीक है? या उस बेचारी को बानो बना देंगे. Alright, let's go on. Question number 24. Discuss relationship between adaptations and dash. Relationship between two things. One is adaptation and maybe adaptation and dash at the time of making the film, right? So relationship between adaptations and something.
Next, I want to say something about how plays may be chosen for adaptation because they're concerned with issues of the time when the film is made.
You mean things like patriotism or the role of government?
Exactly.
Issues they are concerned with. So discuss relationship between adaptations and issues. Listen again.
Next, I want to say something about how plays may be chosen for adaptation because they're concerned with issues of the time when the film is made.
Okay, they are concerned with the issues of time when the film is made. All right. Okay guys, now we've got matching once again. So let's see how to match. Questions 25 to 30. Questions 25 to 30, they are the names of movies. And comments are given A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Will you read the comments or the questions? Because movie names are nothing. They are just like you say ran, acha, mucho ado, Romeo, Juliet, ay hai. Right? When you read the names of the movies, they are not going to tell you anything. But when you read the comments, you will learn a lot. Now listen. For this type of questions, left hand will be on the question because audio will go question by question. And then the right hand that is holding the pencil will move through the options. Options are going to be discussed, but they are going to use synonyms. I tell you how. Let's do it. Option A clearly shows the historical period. Now, historical period, underline that. And for that, they might say how life was like at that time. How life was like at that time. What does that mean? Clearly shows the historical period. Or they can use the word life of 14th century. The play or the movie shows the life of 14th century. Lifestyle of 15th century. Like that. Option B contains only parts of the play. Now underline parts of the play. For that they can use few scenes from the play. Few scenes from the play. What does that mean? Parts of the play. For parts, they are going to use the word scenes. Option C is too similar to another kind of film. Listen, what are the kind of films? Action, romance, comedy, right? So if they say it's typically or it's a typical romantic movie, it's a typical romantic movie means this movie is too similar to another kind of movie. It's a typical action film. It's a typical action hero movie or anything like that. Let's go on. Option D turned out to be unpopular with the audience. If they say audience didn't like it, this film was a flop. Flop or audience didn't like it, it's that. Turned is past tense. Option E presents the play in a different period from the original. Now listen. Play was written in 14th century, but the movie shows 16th century. What is it? Presents the play in a different period of the original. Different period from the original. Like the play was written about 14th century London, but the movie shows 16th century London. F. Sits the original in a different country. So in the play they used Germany, but in the movie they used France. So sets the original in a different country. Got it? Instead of France, they used Germany. Instead of Italy, they used Spain, different country. Option G incorporates a variety of art forms, and before some time I told you what is art. Dance or dance? Dance. Yeah. Dance, singing, music, actors, calligraphy, all that. So these are the different types of arts. Incorporates a variety of art form means in this movie you can see music, dance, blah 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 and all that. Okay. Now question number 25. The name of the movie is Ran. So this hand is here and this hand is going to move through the options, right? And answer is going to be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Can H be the answer? No, because we don't have H as an option. Yeah. कुछ कहेंगे मैं एक option पास से लिखाया था उन्होंने लिखा नहीं हुआ था.
And finally, I want to talk about a few adaptations that I think illustrate a range of approaches and make some comments on them. Do you know the Japanese film Ran?
I haven't seen it. It was based on Shakespeare's King Lear, wasn't it?
That's right. It was a very loose adaptation, using the same situation and story, but moving it to 16th century Japan instead of 16th century Britain. So, for example, the king's daughters become sons, because in Japanese culture at that time, women couldn't succeed to the throne.
Okay.
So, F. Now those were saying what? E. Alright, I tell you why not. Presents the play in a different period from the original. They didn't talk about period, they talked about country. 15th century Japan and 15th century Britain. So, option F sets the original in a different country. And what is that different country? 15th century Japan and 15th century Britain. Shall I play it again?
And finally, I want to talk about a few adaptations that I think illustrate a range of approaches and make some comments on them. Do you know the Japanese film Ran?
I haven't seen it. It was based on Shakespeare's King Lear, wasn't it?
That's right. It was a very loose adaptation, using the same situation and story, but moving it to 16th century Japan instead of 16th century Britain.
Okay, they did not change the century. 16th century Japan and 16th century Britain. F is the right answer, sets the original in a different country. Let's go on. Question number 26.
I hope you're going to talk about the 1993 film of Much Ado About Nothing. I think that's one of the best Shakespeare films. It really brings the play to life, doesn't it?
Yes, I agree. And I think filming it in Italy, where the play is set, makes you see what life was like at the time of the play.
Absolutely.
A. How the life was like at the time of that. So clearly shows the historical period. Shall I play it again?
I hope you're going to talk about the 1993 film of Much Ado About Nothing. I think that's one of the best Shakespeare films. It really brings the play to life, doesn't it?
Yes, I agree. And I think filming it in Italy, where the play is set, makes you see what life was like at the time of the play.
Absolutely.
Life was like at the time of the play. So clearly shows the historical period. Right? Let's go on. Romeo and Juliet.
Right. What's next?
Next, I thought Romeo and Juliet, the 1996 film, which moves the action into the present day.
Yes, it worked really well, I thought, changing the two feuding families in the original to two competing business empires, even though they're speaking in the English of the original play.
You'd expect it would sound really bizarre, but I found I soon got used to it.
Me too.
So, YE presents the play in a different period from the original. Let me play it again.
Right. What's next?
Next, I thought Romeo and Juliet, the 1996 film, which moves the action into the present day.
1996, which moves the action into the present day. So 1996 to present day means presents the play in a different period from the original. Original is 1996 and different period is today. That's right. Okay guys, question number 28, Hamlet. It's Hamlet, not helmet. Okay, Hamlet.
Then I thought I'd include a real Hollywood film, one that's intended to appeal to a mass commercial audience.
There must be quite a number of those.
Yes, but I've picked the 1996 film of Hamlet. It included every line of the text, but it's more like a typical action hero movie. There are loads of special effects, but no unifying interpretation of the play.
All show and no substance.
Exactly.
Typical action hero movie. Option C, too similar to another kind of film. And what is other kind of film? Action hero movie. That's right. Question number 29. Let's see.
Then there's Prospero's books, based on The Tempest. That was really innovative from a stylistic point of view.
Didn't it include dance and singing and animation as well as live actors?
Yes, it did.
G, dance and singing and animation and live actors, that is all incorporates a variety of art forms. Okay, whenever they use the word variety, they explain 4-5 things. G is the right answer for 29.
I also want to mention Looking for Richard. Did you ever see it?
No, but I've read about it. It was a blend of a documentary with a few scenes from Richard III, wasn't it?
That's right. It's
Blend
more a way of...
documentary from few scenes from Richard III. That's the novel. So B contains only parts of the play. Now we have multiple choice questions. Multiple choice questions are the heart of listening part 3. Multiple choice questions are unpredictable. They say men and weather are unpredictable or women and weather? Women and weather are unpredictable. कोई समझ ही नहीं आती है. All right. Okay. Now let's go on. Multiple choice questions are unpredictable. They might appear in part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 and sometimes in IELTS listening part 5. Okay? Only 4 parts. Yeah. Just झटका दिया थोड़ा सा. है ना भाई, छठे में भी आ जाता है. Part 6 में भी आ जाता है कभी कभी. So there are 4 parts only and each part contains 12 questions. Okay? 10 questions. Good. 10 होते हैं exactly. But like you know, I say this reverse technique so that you guys understand that. Achha ji, let's take a start. Multiple choice question has 2 parts. Part 1 question statement. Part 2 options. Right? And all the trickery is in the options. Question statement is simple, but the tricks are in the options. They will give you half minute to read all these questions. So you got to do skim reading. Skim reading means reading quickly. You're not reading, underlining the words and all that. Okay, sometimes options are long, sometimes they are short. We'll do all these questions, so I'll tell you how to deal with these options. So, they will speak about all 3 options in any order. Sometimes they miss one option as well. If you guys want to improve your score in multiple choice questions, instead of looking for the right answer, learn to eliminate the wrong answer. Learn to cross the wrong answer. Once you learn to cross the wrong answer, jo bach jayega, that will be the right answer. Right? Whatever you are left with. So let's do it. Question number 21. Dave Hadley, it's the name. Dave Hadley says that computer system has. Now what is it that computer system has? That will be your answer. Too many users. Okay, now listen. The options which are wrong about those options, they speak oppositely, they speak negatively, they change the tense, right? For example, Dave Hadley says that computer system has. Has is which tense? Present tense. So if he says, well, we used to have a large number of users in the past, but now there are extremely limited users. So A, too many users. Is it the answer? No. It'll be wrong. Understand that? Option B, never worked well. Never worked well means kabhi sahi nahi chala. If he says in the beginning it worked really well and fulfilled our needs, but now it doesn't work well. So never worked well means ever since it was established, it never worked well. Understand? So you need to understand these options. In actual exam, you will not have that much time. So you need to practice. Practice listening in this way. Option C, become outdated. Now if he says outdated, what are the words for outdated? It's old, right? It's outdated, or this technology is old, right? So it's that. Now I play the audio, listen, and it's going to be one of these options.
Hello, I'm Randy Agotra from the Technologies Department.
Ah, yes, good. I'm Dave Hadley. Thanks for coming to see me.
That's okay. I believe you want us to do some work for you.
Yes, that's right. I'm responsible for student admissions to the college, and I use a computer system to help process student enrolments and to do the timetabling.
Uh-huh.
But it really doesn't suit the way we work these days. It's over 10 years old, and although it was fine when it was first introduced, it's just not good enough now.
It's over 10 years old, although it was fine when it was first introduced. So B, never worked well, although it was fine when it was introduced. It's not B. Over 10 years old, become outdated. So answer is C. And they did not say anything about the number of users. So the correct answer is C. And on your answer sheet, you will write C. Okay. Let's go on. Question number 22. Main problem with computer system is that, now listen, in multiple choice, whenever they use the word main, major, big, or anything like that, they will talk about some minor things. For example, we sometimes have this issue, but that's not a main one. Or we are not concerned about it. Sometimes we have this problem, but we are not worried about it. At the moment, our main concern is, and then there'll be the answer. So what are the issues? Too slow. What is for too slow? When computer is slow, yeah, it sometimes it freezes, or sometimes it's very slow, sometimes it doesn't respond immediately. When you double click, it doesn't respond immediately. Option B, stops working. What is stops working? It hangs, exactly. Stops working is hangs. And if he says, we think it has stopped working, but then it continues, means it does not hang. Option C, displays incorrect data. Incorrect data means wrong information. So if he says the main problem is it shows incorrect information, then C is the right answer. If he says the main problem is it's very slow, it takes ages to go from one Windows or one screen to another one, then A can be the right answer. And if he says it hangs in the process, then B is going to be the right answer, right? Now let's go on.
Okay, what problems are you experiencing?
Well, 20 years ago, the college was quite small, and we didn't have the numbers of students or tutors that we have now.
So the system can't handle the increasing volumes?
Well, there's a lot more data now, and it sometimes seems the system has crashed, but in fact, it just takes ages to go from one screen to the next.
Right.
It sometimes sounds the system is crashed. Crashed is stops working. He said it sometimes sounds, but it moves from one to other screen, it takes ages. So the order in which they spoke is C, B, A, and the correct answer is A, absolutely. I play it again.
Okay, what problems are you experiencing?
Well, 20 years ago, the college was quite small and we didn't have the numbers of students or tutors that we have now.
So the system can't handle the increasing volumes.
Well, there's a lot more data now, and it sometimes seems the system has crashed, but in fact, it just takes ages to go from one screen to the next.
Right.
Okay, it takes ages, that means it is too slow. Takes ages and slow. Now, let's go on. Question number 23. Timetabling has become an issue because this multiple choice question is about the reason. Timetabling has become an issue because, now what's the reason? Option A, now see these options are long. When the options are long, you need to focus nouns, verbs and adjectives. So they say here, there is not enough time for anyone to do it. Not enough time. Now look here, for not enough time, they might say everyone is busy or no one has time to do it, right? Not enough time. Option B, system does not handle course options. Just underline not handle course options. Every course has options. So system does not handle course options means not handle course options. The courses are constantly changing. So courses constantly changing. That's it. Now, what is the reason? Because means reason. Let's see.
Is that the only problem?
Well, that's the main one, but there are others. In the past, doing the timetabling was quite simple, but now we have a lot more courses, and what's made it complicated is that many of them have options.
Right, but the system should allow you to include those.
Well, no, it doesn't. It was supposed to.
B. System should allow to include those. The word those goes back to options. Right? Said courses have options. System should allow you to include those. But he says it doesn't. So, system does not handle course options. B is the right answer. Listen again.
Is that the only problem?
Well, that's the main one, but there are others. In the past, doing the timetabling was quite simple, but now we have a lot more courses, and what's made it complicated is that many of them have options.
Many of them. Them is for courses and options, right?
Right, but the system should allow you to include those.
System should allow you to include those. Those means options. Options, yeah. Now those is for options.
Well, no, it doesn't. It was supposed to.
No, it doesn't. Mean does not handle course options. Okay? Now, let's go on. Question number 24. To solve timetabling issue, Randhir suggests that. Now, you will listen to Randhir carefully. He is going to suggest something. Option A, students should create their own timetable. Underline students create own timetable. For that, they might use the word students can create their timetable on their own. Or students can make their own timetable. Or students can select their own timetable. Option B, Dave should have someone to assist him. Like he can say, you can have an assistant. Alright, they can be an assistant. Or for example, option A, students should create their own timetable. If he says, you can solve this problem if you allow the students to create their own timetable, but I know it is not possible. So A is not the right answer. If he says, I know it is not possible, I know it cannot be managed, I know you can't do it now. So they speak about one option and at the end, they sometimes use the word nor, unless, until and all that. So, option C, number of courses should be reduced. If he says you should reduce the number of courses, so then this can be the answer. Now listen.
And a few years ago, we did ask someone from the technologies department to fix it, but they never seemed to have the time.
Are there any other issues with the system?
Well, I've been given extra responsibilities, and so I have even less time to do the timetabling. If there was anything you could do, Randhir, to make the process more efficient...
Now answer will come. Because Randhir is going to suggest. Before that, he was just talking. Now, you can do anything to improve it and all that. Now, listen carefully.
That would be really helpful.
Well, it sounds like you could do with an assistant, but that's obviously not possible. So what about having an online system that students can use to do their scheduling?
How would that work?
Well, it may mean less choice for students, but we could create a fixed schedule of all the courses and options, and they could then view what was available.
And work it out for themselves. That sounds great.
Okay, so
A. Work it out for themselves. Themselves means student. They can do it, they mean student. This is called referencing. So the words like they, themselves, those, these, you need to see what do they mean by these, those, themselves and all that. The correct answer is A. Students should create their own timetable. He said you can make do with an assistant, but that's obviously not possible. When obviously not possible, that is not the answer. So the correct answer is 24, it's option A. Now, we have question number 25. Randhi says that new system may. Now, they will talk about new system and again you will listen to Randhir carefully. Randhir says new system may need to be trialed. Trialed means tested. Option B, still have problems. So, underline still have problem. It's already short. And B, economical. Economical means it will save some money. It will cost you less. Right? You can save some money in the long run. So new system need to be trialed, still have problems or save some money.
We'll need to decide whether or not to improve the existing system or to build a completely new system.
Well, I'd much prefer to have a new system. Quite frankly, I've had enough of the old one.
Okay, that'll probably take longer, although it may save you money in the long run.
It'll take longer, although it'll save you money in the long run. So to be more economical. Economical means save you money in the long run. Understand? This is what we call synonyms. Play it again. Sure.
We'll need to decide whether or not to improve the existing system or to build a completely new system.
Well, I'd much prefer to have a new system.
Now this is Randhir. I'd much prefer to have a new system. Now what does he say? Because it's mentioned here, Randhir says.
Quite frankly, I've had enough of the old one.
Okay, that'll probably take longer, although it may save you money in the long run.
It may save you money in the long run. It will take longer, but it may save you money in the long run. So more economical. Question number 26. Improving the existing system will take. Will take means duration. If they improve the existing system, it will take a few weeks, 4 or 5 months, 9 months. Now this question is technical. Focus few weeks. For few weeks, they might use a couple of weeks. For 4 or 5 months, they might say it may take a quarter of a year. Quarter of a year has 3 months actually. Now it's going to be something more than that. And 9 months. So let's see.
When were you hoping to have this in place?
Well, it's January now, and the new intake of students will be in September. We need to start processing admissions in the next few weeks, really.
Well, it will take more than a few weeks, I'm afraid. As an initial estimate, I think we'll be looking at April or May to improve the existing system, but for a new system, it would take at least 9 months. That would be October at the earliest.
So, see, 9 months is for the new system. Right? They said system will take. The correct answer is B, 4 or 5 months. Now, let me tell you how technical this question is. They are starting from January. January to April. No, September. No. Yeah, but actually, then he said January and then April or May. So, April or May means 4 or 5 months. January, February, March, April or May. So, 4 to 5 months. Now, listen again. Focus. Very technical.
When were you hoping to have this in place?
Well, it's January now, and the new intake of students will be in September.
New intake will be in September. Then he says,
we need to start processing admissions in the next few weeks, really.
in the next few weeks. So now listen what he says.
Well, it will take more than a few weeks,
It will take more than a few weeks, I'm afraid. A cannot be the answer. Now you are left with B and C. Now let's go on.
I'm afraid. As an initial estimate, I think we'll be looking at April or May to improve the existing system.
April or May to improve the existing system. It's January now. April or May, that means 4 to 5 months. And now listen.
But for a new system, it would take at least 9 months.
For a new system, it will take 9 months. So 9 months for new system. Existing system, January to April or May. Alright. Okay guys, now we are going to learn how to deal with flowchart in IELTS listening part 3. Flowchart is very common in listening as well as in IELTS reading. So we have complete the flowchart below. Flowchart has got the arrows. Sometimes these arrows go from top to bottom. Sometimes from left to right, then down, then coming back and then go up. So it's complete process. So complete the flowchart below. Write no more than 2 words for each answer. There is no number, no more than 2 words. Next steps. Now they are going to continue the same talk of computer systems and all that. Next steps. Get approval from. Now what is the authority which is going to give approval? For approval they might use the word support. For example, get approval from parents. Get approval from, I mean, we're talking in personal life. Get approval from parents or get approval from wife or anyone like that. Get approval from, okay? Yeah, now I just looked at him. Are you all right? Good. So, okay, get approval from. For that, they might say that, for example, get approval from wife. So, you need the support of your wife. You need the support of your wife, whatever. So, support, permission. They might use the word permission. Permission, support, approval and all that. So who is going to give this approval? That will be the answer. For example, it can be get approval from boss. Get approval from boss. Yeah, boss, wife, same thing. Yeah. Question number 27.
What are the next steps if we are to have a new system?
Well, the first question is, do you have support from your senior management?
Yes, I've already discussed it with them.
Do you have support from your senior management? Yes, I've already discussed it with them. Senior management, right? Another good word for that. Senior management, okay? All right. Okay, all right. Sometimes, people count the fruit before putting it in the refrigerator and then they say, मैंने फ्रिज में 3 सेब रखे थे अब 2 रह गए हैं, 1 किधर गया? Yeah, then someone says I ate that. All right, now let's go on. Complete a dash form. Form, you understand? Form, yes, sir. Yeah, admission form. Yeah, so complete. For complete, they might use the word fill in. And for form, they will be the form. Now listen carefully. Answer is going to be the type of a form. It can be admission form. What other forms do we have? Passport form, application form, or registration form, D form, yeah, B form as well, approval form, yeah, exactly. So it's going to be any type of form, right? Whatever it is. Now, complete a dash form. So if he says you need to fill in a dash form, that will be the answer.
Actually, they mentioned that there's probably a form I need to complete to formally start the project.
Yes, that's the next thing you need to do. I'll send you an email with a link so you can fill it in online. It's called a project request form.
Okay, great.
It's called project request form. And now if you write only project, wrong answer. If you write only request, wrong answer. Project request form. Okay, question number 29. Book. What is the other word for book? This book is not kitab. This book is a verb. Book. Reserve, exactly. Book, reserve, set up. A dash with the system analyst. Book, set up, a dash. Now it could be appointment, but a means it will not be appointment. For appointment, they would have written an appointment. But a means the word will start with a non-vowel. Okay, now let's see what it is. Just focus the word set up a dash with someone.
And then what happens?
Well, I have a list of things, but I think the third thing you should do is see Samir. He's our analyst who will look at the system and identify what needs to be done.
Okay, can you send me his contact details and I'll set up a meeting with him?
Okay, that's good. So we should...
I'll set up a meeting with him. Now him, he said Samir is system analyst. For Samir and for him, they use the word meeting a system analyst. So book and set up a meeting. Answer is only meeting. Question number 30. Set up a dash with technology's team. Another thing, set up a meeting, appointment or anything like that with technology's team.
Some members of our team work in different locations, so it's not easy to have face-to-face meetings.
That's okay. I'm used to having conference calls, providing they're not late at night.
Right, so I'll send you details of the team, and if you could set up a call, that would be great.
You could set up a call. So it's basically conference call. Conference call. I'll play this one again from the beginning.
Some members of our team work in different locations, so it's not easy to have face-to-face meetings.
That's okay. I'm used to having conference calls.
I'm used to having conference calls. Used to having. Right? Focus the structures as well.